So in this session we're going to review all the features in Space Scheduler, and we're going to start out in the drawing viewer and show you how you tag spaces that you want to make bookable in the Scheduler application. So you can open up the Attributes tab in any space and come down to the Space Scheduling Status and decide whether it's going to be a meeting or a hoteling space. And in this case it's going to be a meeting space. And then you can decide whether it needs approval or not. And if you tag it as needing approval, it just means that before that space can be officially booked by someone, it has to go through an administrator that approves that booking. Most spaces you're probably not going to bother doing that with, but in some cases, having this ability for spaces that maybe are in high demand or critical, you might want to make them needing approval. When you come into Space Scheduler, you come in to the calendar view. We're looking at the 5-day view here, Monday to Friday, and you can see all the spaces that in the whole portfolio that are bookable. You can see here, there's what you can see here plus 54 more. Now, you can come down and filter by whatever property, building, and floor you want to get to. So if I only want the second floor of Canal Street, I come down here. Now you notice it automatically filters the number of spaces that are available down to a handy number that I can actually manage. Looking at the various commands here, I have the 5-day view up right now, and I can do 5-day, 7-day, monthly, daily, whatever I want there. I have, as an administrator, I can see all the spaces needing approval and actually approve those. Now, if I'm just a regular citizen without administrative rights, I would never see this needs approval tab at all, but I can see it now because I'm set up as an administrator here. And meeting spaces just shows you like a history of bookings. And you can see when I open that up, I can see pretty much everything that's gone on here in terms of all the bookings, all the activity. This is like a history of bookings log. That's the best way to think about it. And we have various filter boxes up here if I just want to see my reservations, or I want to see availability, or I want to see what's booked. In this case, I can see the spaces that I booked and that are booked, and then I can see what's waiting for approval if I have any of those. And so that gives me all kinds of ways to filter what I'm seeing here in the calendar view. Looking at the icons on the calendar menu, you see we can tell if there's an A inside that little box. That just means that this space requires approval. So anyone booking a space might want to shy away from this one because they know it has to be approved by someone before they officially have it. So they might choose to go with one that has a blank there, and that means they can just book it directly. And so these three icons, again, book it, get a look at the monthly calendar, and get a look at the location. So if I wanted to see the location of the space before I booked it, I just click on that, and I can see where it is to make sure that's the space that I want. And then if I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and book it. Here I'm going to open the calendar view here, and I am going to go to the monthly view because I want to book the space for a week for at least a week. So now I'm here and I'm looking here and I want to book it for the 16th, the 18th, and the 20th. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to book this for a conference, and I'm going to put whatever multi-day booking. And again, I do want it from 8 to 5, so I don't have to change those any at all. I do want it to be recurring, and I want it to be recurring for a week. And so I want it for 1 week, and I want it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I want to end this on the I want to end this on the 20th. So that would get me for that week, and I'm going to say save and save. And you can see that now I've got the space booked for the 16th, the 18th, and the 20th. You'll also notice that if I hover over space, it identifies who's booked it and what it's booked for and the date, that kind of thing. So it's just a little feedback system. And over in this area here, if we had a picture of the space, it would show up here so I could see what it looked like. And I can see all the details. Whatever I put in the description of the space is what I see here. So if I were booking a conference room, for example, I'd see all the features of the conference room, that kind of thing. Here's a good example of a conference room space that I've just opened up here to see if I want to book it, and it tells me it seats 16 people, supports catering, has coffee and water access, that kind of thing. And that's a summary of most of the things you can do in the calendar view of Evolve's Space Scheduler. Now we'll look at the space plan view and go from there. So I click on Space Plan, and again I get a look at the floor plan. I can see hoteling spaces and I can see conference room spaces. And again, booking's pretty straightforward. You click on the space, opens it up right to the calendar view. I could go weekly or monthly or daily. I tend to like the monthly view even though it defaults to weekly. And come in here, decide what I want to book, and maybe I just want to book a straight one day, so I click here and I can tell it what it's for. It's for a board meeting. And if I'm doing this, if I'm requesting this for somebody else, I can put their name in here and book it for them, and then I can decide who I might want to notify about this and put their names in here. And again, it's going to search for names in the contact database to contact. And then I can put the narrative of the description, whatever I want. You've already seen how recurrence works, but if it's a straightforward one-day booking, I just say done and save and go from there. And bingo, it's booked. Now the other thing that happens is the space scheduler sends an email to the person that booked it so that they have notification. And here I brought an Outlook screen in so you can see how this, when I receive the notification of my booking, this is what I'm seeing in my Outlook email. And if I wanted to share this with somebody else from this point, I could just forward it with all the information to a bunch of people if I wanted to invite them to that meeting, and I would have all the information that they need to be there. Up top here in my controls, I have this pretty much the same ones. I can just see all my meetings. I can see all the meetings that have ever been booked. It's sort of the total meeting log through history, if that's what you're looking for, is a kind of a report kind of thing. If I'm an approver, I can see and approve spaces that somebody else has booked. And so I have all those other features, and you already know about labels and drawing tools from having used the drawing component of Evolve. And that is our quick overview of the features that make up Evolve's Space Scheduler module.